But where my jeans are from, people don't really MC it now.
Everyone can relate to this film. Everyone should watch this film.
I just thought that they were like a genuine family in a way that we can all identify.
I'll make my own approach and fucking concept of us.
He grew up on the other side of the Atlantic, but I can feel this really deep connection and this urgency that he has in his work.
My blood and sweat's in us.
Hi everyone, this is Silesh Ram, AsianCultureVulture.com. Welcome. We're going to be talking about Mogul Mowgli, which stars Riz Ahmed and is co-written by Bassam Tariq, who is also the director, and you'll be hearing from later in the video. It's about a rapper who has to cut short a world tour and a massive career breakthrough because he falls ill. He has to come back home to London and the parental home. We're going to be talking to two of the main actors, that's Anjana Vasan and Nabhaan Rizwan. Let's go and meet them. What was it like to be in this film? I mean, have you been in many films? What's your kind of...
No, not really. As you know, like I mostly do theatre,
Right.
And I've done a little bit of TV, but not that much film, and definitely not a film like this. So it was, I obviously jumped at the chance to like...
Absolutely. And how did that come about? Did you know Riz? Did you...
No, not at all. Like, it was an audition, and I didn't know, like, this is Bassam's first, like, feature. And I heard he did documentaries before, and I looked up some of his stuff, and I just thought, he's really cool. He seemed very interesting. I sent a tape out, and then I had a meeting with Bassam,
Right.
and I just thought he was very interesting and very cool, and I liked the project. Riz is great at acting, as we all know. I jumped at the chance.
And did you know much about the script and the film before you got involved?
They sent me the script, and I thought it was very good because there was all these like surreal moments that was written into the film, and I was just thinking, how are you gonna film this? Like, and that excited me.
I found it really interesting, and the dynamic with the girlfriend, the triangular Zed, who is played by Riz Ahmed, and yourself, the business manager, and the girlfriend. I thought there was an interesting dynamic, albeit you're not together that much. I think at the beginning there's a...
I like to think that they have Zed and Basim are, like, for me it was almost like very brother and sister. But
right.
in the way that brother and sister dynamics can be very complicated. Like, I feel like Basim was there from the beginning, and he's on this upward trajectory, right, in terms of success.
Yeah.
And she was there, like, helping to make it happen, but was there before Zed became Zed.
Right.
So, what's brilliant about Zed is that the character is not immediately likable. He's extremely complicated. And there is that male ego dynamic.
Yeah. Okay.
And for like Basim as a woman, dealing with that is like, she's the one person who can tell Zed, I'm not, she can tell him what she really thinks.
And how did you approach the whole relationship with RPG, Nabhaan Rizwan character? That seems to be there's a pivotal scene, I think. And it's a really interesting dynamic. Again, he's a rival, but you're kind of saying, well, he's one of us. And I thought that was really fascinating.
Yeah, that was hard because you go, I would say the choices that inform Basim is really dependent on, like, yes, there's a loyalty to Zed, and it's fundamentally Zed is a friend.
Right.
But she's also part of this big machine, and the Zed machine is still gonna roll without Zed, in a sense, and like the opportunity that is there to sort of tour with Dante, the big artist, is a huge mainstream opportunity that, like, you can't just let go. From her perspective, it's like it's as much an opportunity for herself as it is for Zed, and I think that's how she sees it. She's very practical in that sense, and you can say that's her being really cruel or cold about it and being very businesslike, but I like that she has that side.
I think it's more businesslike. I wouldn't say it's cruel, because she can obviously see the upsides of that him coming in and
the opportunity is bigger than Zed. Let's say, like, it feels like it's an opportunity for us to, like, get one of us on that sort of mainstream platform, and she opened that door, and she wants to make sure she's there when it happens. She's the one to walk away from an opportunity.
Right. Yeah.
But at the same time, like, it's also a time, I think, because he's in this sort of like crossroads where he has to sort of stop and take pause and take some time for himself. and she has to be the one sort of, I guess, without giving too much away, like be there to help him, guide him through that very difficult decision. And he's not someone who does it, like, again, back to the brother sister dynamic, as much as there's love, she's not someone who's like going to hold his hand throughout it in that way. She's going to be like, there's a lot of tough love, I think. So
RPG is a rapper, you know, a rival rapper to Riz's character Zed in the film, and he's on the other end of the spectrum when it comes to, like, you know, Zed is someone who is very aware of his heritage.
Yes.
And talks about, you know, much more conscious of his position in the world. And in the RPG, although he's of the same heritage, kind of discards that and is kind of wild, but has this kind of, you know, almost ignorant, like free-spirited thing going on, but it is very ignorant. So they're completely at odds, you know, the type of things they rap about and the type of music they make, and you know, that's the sort of rivalry.
How would you describe his feelings towards Zed, the Riz Ahmed character? Well,
actually, we come to find out that you know, that RPG kind of looks up to Zed. You know, that's kind of like a funny thing that we revealed. Don't worry, it's not a spoiler. But you know, it turns out that, you know, Zed, given his position as a British Asian rapper, I guess, and being one of the first or one of the only, RPG kind of looks up to that.
I think that comes through. I mean, it's a slightly awkward meeting they have in the, I think it's in the hospital, and what's interesting is Fassim's role in facilitating that, and the phrase "he's one of us" really stuck with me, and I thought that's a very powerful reminder of what RPG also stands for. Do you think?
Absolutely. I mean, he is brown as well. You know, he is Asian, and he has to face up to that, no matter how much he runs away from it. And in a way, you know, Zed kind of runs away from it for a while as well. You know, there's definitely in the film where his cousin says, well, your name's not Zed, it's actually Zahir. And that whole conversation is important as well. And RPG kind of faces the same sort of dilemma. It's like that, the old adage, like, I'm not black, I'm OJ, you know, like with the whole OJ Simpson thing. It's like, well, you can't run away from the fact that the first thing people see is your skin color.
Absolutely.
So, you know, no matter who you're trying to be, no matter what you're trying to be, that is the kind of dichotomy that you're faced with in the world.
So I wanted to make sure that I was really honoring the families that we come from. And, you know, and I think we didn't want it to be this caricature or this over, you know, comedic thing, or even a kitchen sink drama. We want it to feel very much real. The funny thing is we do have a scene near a kitchen sink, and it's kind of like our nod to the reality of it.
I think that's a fantastic little way of showing the family. It seems quite innocuous, but it stands for a lot. And I thought it was a brilliant piece of writing, and the way you set it up.
Yeah, and so much of that comes from just our own lives, you know, like it's literally like, you know, pulled from so many of our own experiences, from every time I come home and my mom bringing the chilies to make sure I'm okay. And, you know, so, yeah.
Yeah, I know it feels like it's very much from personal experience. And I know from colleagues who covered this in Berlin, it's very much based upon yours and Riz's personal experiences. So when you first got to meet Riz, was it really a meeting of minds? And is that how you came to work together?
Yeah, the funny thing is it was all very organic. He was in New York working on the night of, and I was, you know, I just made a film in New York, and you know, and he had seen that film. I made a film in Pakistan, and I was back in New York, and I was running a butcher shop, and you know, we actually met at my butcher shop. That was the first time when we actually met, and you know, and yeah, I just really felt a connection to him. I felt like here's somebody that really, he grew up on the other side of the world. Like, he grew up on the other side of the Atlantic, but I can feel this really deep connection and this urgency that he has in his work. And you can sometimes feel like, okay, him and I, we're gonna be friends. You know, it may take a while for us to figure out exactly how it's going to work together, but you can sometimes feel that, and you know, instinctually when somebody hits something.
And was it just a case of knocking around ideas in the beginning and then it developing into a script, or how did that process work?
Yeah, I think it was really, we were developing stuff and we're just trying to find the right way into it. And I think, the funny thing is that I sometimes get stuck in things being overly complex, or like just to be, like weird for the sake of weird. And I think, and he has a way of being quite exact. So we had to really find a middle ground. And I think that dance was the most exciting part in building this film, is really us learning how to work with each other. What
was the experience like of coming and filming here, and what sort of observations did you have about British Asians as compared to American Indians, Pakistani Americans, or
I would say that being with the British Asian experience, I felt there was less of a pretense and there was more of a welcoming environment where I felt here. And I think that also comes from this is just me being a bit romantic about it, perhaps, but because of the legacy that y'all have here, there is no question. There's no question about, what the British Asian have done and what they've contributed to the British fabric. Like, there is no Britain without the Asians. There's no Britain without the Windrush generation. There's no what we know about Britain exists because of y'all. So there is an element of that which makes y'all more confident in allowing people from the outside in. Where I think us, I would at least speak for me, is like we can get quite insecure here in the States, and I think things being quite capitalist here, and things, perhaps maybe there's more money involved here, and there's larger industries, that I think people tend to get very territorial in another way, where I think can be a bit less welcoming.